everybody. This is Amy at 97 FM in Springfield, and my show is Radioactive. Can anyone out there hear me?
Sick of silence, let it out.
This is Ethan from LA, and I'm here to
16,
stop
but I'm
the
not
violence.
sweet.
Are you running the streets? Call the real runaway hotline.
KCAT Los Gatos, California.
This is I Am.
Radio
Are
Free
you?
Pittsburgh.
This is No Protection out
We
from
are
New
the
Jersey.
voice.
Hi, you're on the air. Turn on the truth.
Hello and welcome to epoodibus Unum. I'm Eitan.
And I'm Dan.
And we're pleased to welcome our guest host this week, Allison Green.
Hi, everybody. I'm Allison, or on Twitter, at Grassroots Speak.
All right. Also, we're recording on Wednesdays, so we just wrapped up the Gordon Sondland testimony. We're doing this instead of our normal Friday recording because, well, it's my fault. I can't make it on Friday. So
He's getting married. Someone's getting married.
Maybe. I mean, you don't know. People are getting married.
No, I don't want to say that because then he'll write another disclaimer that Eitan is not getting married right now.
No, I'm not getting married, but Miss Piggy and Kermit are getting married.
What?
Someone's getting married.
I thought they split up for good this time.
No. That's a reference to Muppets Take Manhattan.
Well, I think he could do better.
Kermit?
Oh, absolutely.
She's got a great personality,
Because, you know, it's not easy being green.
Fair point. That's
Yeah.
true.
not easy being green.
On today's podcast, we'll talk about the importance for Democrats to become fighters and not always lovers, what the true 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, and why Democrats believe that no one is above the law while Republicans protect criminals. Many people are saying that Trump suffered a major heart attack last Saturday night or a stroke of some sort.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
I just want to say my thoughts and prayers go out to Trump and the Trump family.
Speaking of the Trump family.
I'm kidding. Screw him.
Speaking of the Trump family,
he's the
though, Trump said today that Melania thinks he has a heart attack because of how the press reported it. That says a lot about their marriage.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Well, Walter Reed didn't know, Secret Service didn't know, and Melania didn't know. So
Sondland can get through to him anytime. His wife, not so much.
She's got to go through protocols. I want to talk quickly about Nicholas Kristof had an excellent piece on last Sunday's Times about the effects of watching Fox Not News, America's #1 network, in encouraging Republicans to piss on us while they tell us that it's raining. Research done by Fairleigh Dickinson University found that watching Fox News had a, quote, negative impact on people's current events knowledge. The study found that those who regularly watched Fox actually knew less about both domestic and international issues than those who watched no news at all.
I wonder if that was purposeful.
I think it must be. I mean, it wasn't
strategic.
Well, I remember reading this in, I think it was a bio of either Murdoch or Ailes, and his co-founder said, people don't want to be informed, people want to feel informed. And that was their rationale behind
And they
Fox
are
News.
informing them with exactly what they want to tell them.
That's y'all's problem is y'all be reading all the time. I just watch the Fox News and I know exactly what's going down. Y'all just a bunch of dumb Yankees.
So even people who watch comedy programs like The Daily Show knew more. Fox does, however, and this is important, it sways votes, and I highly
great
recommend
at messaging.
Right,
Yeah.
I highly recommend reading the entire article to see how it's increased over the years. But going back to the 2008 election, the Republican vote would have been 6.3 percentage points lower in 2008 without Fox, which is unbelievable. That's a massive swing.
And I don't know if the study looked at it, but I'm sure that Fox was driving their audience to the polls.
Yeah, that's what they do. It's Russian-style propaganda.
Yeah. Lastly, Kristof continues to show how Fox has even been instrumental in causing mass deaths. Because Fox News was mocking Obama in 2009, 2010, saying that this is during the swine flu epidemic. Obama was saying everyone should be vaccinated against swine flu, and they were mocking him. Roughly 18,000 people who believed the conspiracy theories on Fox died. needlessly.
That's horrible.
So
once again, Fox and the GOP have blood on their hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
In many, many ways.
I mention this piece because it's important that we arm ourselves against the rampant disinformation and do what we can to persuade loved ones to try to dump this deadly Fox propaganda machine.
Absolutely.
Trump's racist rallies are so effective. Yeah. It's so frustrating. It pulls his base together. It gets them ramped up. Personally, I mean, I think it's like a Ku Klux Klan white supremacist rally, so I certainly don't want to encourage it.
No.
But at the same time, if you take that element out of it, what he's actually doing is he's pumping up his base, and I want us to pump up our base.
Most races are decided by who pumps up their base better.
And
that's,
So I actually threw out there a tweet, and I love marches, but they're a logistical nightmare. They don't get the coverage. And I thought maybe we should get into a stadium. And I thought, why don't we have resistance rallies? And
I don't know. I think that's a brilliant idea. We should.
It's a good idea.
Let's have resistance rallies. Let's have, great speakers come.
I'd go to a resistance rally. And basically it would be a whole bunch of people getting into a stadium like they did at the baseball where they were booing people, but instead we would be standing for democracy all together. I feel like that's something that we can do.
Yeah, Bernie and AOC had a great rally.
Yeah.
They were like, what, 12, 15? I mean, they basically packed the park.
I think it was 26,000 people.
The park was at capacity. Yeah. Like, you couldn't see any ground.
I want us to come together as a party. So I tweeted that out. That got a big positive reaction. We might have to talk about how we can get that done.
I love it. And I love the idea of rallying around democracy and ideas versus cult of personality. Ronald Reagan used to like to joke that the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." This is one of the most destructive phrases ever uttered by any elected official, and it highlights the right wing's war on democracy. Even more importantly, it's a conservative framing that makes people think that since government, which is made up of both Democrats and Republicans, that both sides are the problem. But in reality, that's simply not the case. Democrats, on one hand, are trying to restore America's right to health care, while the Rebug Party are trying to take away what health care they haven't already taken away from what is essentially a right. Democrats want to make sure that we're not poisoned, ripped off, and exploited. Republicans are trying to shutter the CFPB, the FDA, the EPA, and the list goes on. And we have to, as progressives, as Americans, have to articulate the differences, because the idea of America is a free and open democracy, despite the fact that the Rebugs want to try to carve it up into little fiefdoms here. So when somebody mocks mockingly says, "Oh, I'm from the government and I'm here to help," what they're really doing is mocking the idea of a free and open democracy. So who is it that is terrified of democracy, right? They said it's 9 most terrifying. He said,
"Well, this is my Reagan impression."
So Gipper, who is terrified of this? It's authoritarians, right? So, and that's what the right keeps pushing us towards, right? We see the right become more and more authoritarian. We saw, the march in Charlottesville.
Yep.
And we hear the terrible rhetoric coming from Trump rallies. A free press is the enemy of the people. This is what dictators do. So their ongoing war against democracy and America shows itself in their hatred for public education, their hatred of freedom of life laws that they keep trying to repeal, their hatred for common sense banking regulations, their hatred for women and minorities. And hate is such a powerful motivator that they would do things that actually end up harming themselves. And the book, What's the Matter with Kansas, he describes how people are actually inflicting harm upon themselves.
Against their interests,
right, and voting against their interests. So, this is an assault on things like clean air, clean water, working wage, Social Security, Medicare. There's a parable of the scorpion and the frog, which is a scorpion needs to get across a small body of water and asks the frog to carry him on his back. And the frog says, well, if I do that, you're just going to sting me. And Scorpion says, if I did that, then I'd drown, so we'd both die. So the frog agrees and carries the scorpion, and halfway out, the scorpion stings the frog, and as the frog is dying, he says, why did you do that? We're both going to die now. And the scorpion says, I can't help it. I'm a scorpion. It's in my nature. And this is the way that not Republicans, I think, as individuals, but the party itself, the leaders in the party, think they
they're the
can't
scorpions.
help it. Yeah, in many ways, and maybe in some.
And the people are the frog.
Right, and the people.
The people being used by.
Right.
The Republicans.
Exactly. This relates back to what I was saying earlier with Fox News, was you have to stay in that bubble. So that way you can do something against your own interest. It's the same as when they say government is not the solution to our problem, government is the problem. What they're saying is they believe that democracy is not the solution. Democracy is the problem.
This is a classic of the wealthy elite taking over the government and using it to suppress the people.
I mean, isn't that the story of history, though?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's a historical pattern.
Well, I don't think people need health care. I think,
No, it's only in every other single nation that's developed has healthcare.
Well, I mean, if you're going to bring up facts, Nancy, get this lady out of here. Dreams are just easier to get behind. I mean, a lot of people are self-delusional.
Well, wasn't it Fitzgerald that said Americans don't see themselves as poor, they see themselves as aspiring millionaires?
Exactly, yeah.
And that's the thing, is all of those people who are not the wealthy GOP, the ones who are following Trump, they all dream and aspire to be, another fake billionaire.
Yeah.
He's done well for himself being a charlatan and a huckster, so.
Within that vein, what is it exactly? Not that vein, the vein of within.
Nancy, get this guy out of here.
So within the vein of what is it that we as a democracy have done? Go back to the Depression. Go back to FDR when Congress that passed legislation like the Securities Act of 1933, Banking Act of 1933, which is the Glass-Steagall Act, which of course Clinton decided to end, and then we had another bubble, Securities Exchange Act. And we didn't have these bubbles for 45 years. And then, of course, the GOP rise. And with their deregulation, we had the S&L scandal, the dot-com bust, Enron's power outages in California, remember that? And the worst financial collapse since the Great Depression. And meanwhile, the rating agencies are giving the banks who pay them for their ratings, AAA ratings.
Yeah.
So,
is that a conflict of interest?
And of course, the largest wealth inequality since the Gilded Age. Laws don't just pop out of nowhere. We have, the Clean Water Act because the Cuyahoga River was on fire and other. The other thing that we do in a democracy is the government puts in time and money to develop technologies that private industries just won't because they might be too risky and too expensive. They don't want to put in 25 years. These are things like GPS and space travel, universal education, eliminating polio, cholera, and smallpox. How about the internet? The highways, consumer protections, the GI Bill, the military, the 40-hour work week, safe working conditions, clean air and water, as we said, funding science, art, and research, and winning World War II. When you go back to this Reagan nonsense of, the government's not the solution, there's pretty goddamn good solutions, I think, right there, just for a few. So, but it's Republicans would rather manipulate the tax code and take money from working Americans and give it away to these billionaire welfare kings, and they don't invest in America because they do not believe in America. They do not believe in this country. At the end of the day, either business will regulate the people, and that's a form of tyranny, or the people will regulate business, which is democracy. It's why Louis Brandeis said, we must make a choice. We may have democracy or we may have wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, but we can't have both. Another nonsense talking point, and I'll finish up here, is, big versus small government. I don't know what the fuck does big government mean. It's a canard. It's a red herring.
You wouldn't know what big means.
Yeah. It's to scare Americans so they fear their friends. I mean, remember, it's democracy. So they fear their friends, they fear their neighbors, right? And distract us while these repugs or so-called conservatives are robbing America blind.
We're being robbed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Who do we call to report a crime in progress?
You can call my guy Barr. He's great. He does great by me. I mean, I don't know what else he does.
What there is, however, is good government and bad government. I want good government. I want government that works for everyone. That's what good government is. That's what this country was founded on.
We have to get back to the government working for us, the people.
And meanwhile, they want us disenfranchised, destitute, and dead. That's all that they care about, is how can they oppress more of us? How can they extract more from us? So what are the real most terrifying words in the English language?
Wait, hold on, Nancy. I think he's summing up now.
What, you know what they are, Gipper? You know what they are, Ronnie?
You better not say nothing bad about
The monkey was better in the movie, just so you know.
How dare you?
According to Professor Mitchell Bard, they're, quote, "I'm a libertarian and the market will save you." And I personally couldn't agree more. And if you want an example of what this so-called anarchist libertarian paradise is like, you don't have to look any further than, say, Somalia or Pakistan or any real failed state where you have, essentially warlords that pop up, because that's exactly what the repugs are trying to do. You do regulate everything, and there are no regulations there, and you see much lower life expectancy and pollution and people living in trash. And I mean, that's obviously not everywhere, but you see the issues that arise with that, and how warlords, take over a place and exploit you. It's why there's more slavery now worldwide than there was during in the antebellum South. This is because in countries that don't have strong democracies, that privatize everything, you have the richest, the strongest come in, and they might not be a warlord, they might just be the wealthiest person, and they exploit the people, often to the point of slavery. But this is what happens when we don't have democracy, as the repugs do, when they privatize everything around the world. You see these people who are either enslaved or indentured, and that is not what this country is about. It is not about, it is not the United States of Amazon or Walmart or Uber, where everybody is an independent contractor, quote unquote, and companies and the wealthy profit off of exploiting the hard work, the labor, and the innovation of regular people. What we are about is fairness, is equality, is the dignity of work, despite the fact that Republicans keep telling us that. Dignity is not a four-letter word. What we are about is freedom. And it's this wealth inequality, this exploitation of Americans that absolutely inhibits the freedom of regular Americans.
One of the things I want to talk about messaging-wise is this thought of like security, right? In the sense that, Republicans don't care about security, right? Which is why they gerrymander. And that's why we've got Moscow Mitch McConnell taking money from voting machine manufacturers and voting against measures to hack our elections. What is up with that? The thing is, they don't care about our physical security either, which is why they don't want healthcare for all, and which is why they don't want to ban military-style weapons. They only care about the wealthy corporations, so they'll do whatever it takes to protect those companies and those people.
You mean like the GOP tax scam?
Exactly. Yeah.
Hashtag
Who did that?
GOP
Who
tax
was that
scam.
good for? Was that good for the common everyday person? No. That was good for billionaires and huge corporations like FedEx that I think we now owe money. And now, they have to take money away from, all, Social Security and all this stuff.
Well, they don't have to. They're just trying to use it as an excuse.
They have to, in quotes. We got to push more that the Democratic Party believes in the security of its people. That's why they want to pass bills to protect the sacred right to vote. One of the little tags, that politicians could and should use is, something along the lines of, if you can't protect people from being slaughtered in the streets and the malls of our great country, then maybe you shouldn't be in office. Some of the other things are, stuff like perhaps Mitch McConnell should just work for Russia, voting machine and gun manufacturers full time because he's doing a great job part time.
Yeah, Moscow Mitch.
Stuff like that. We have to point out that one party works for people and one party works for these huge corporations and billionaires, and they don't give a shit about, like we were saying before about Main Street.
Well, they are proud that they say that they're the party of business, and if they're the party of business, then we have to be the party of America.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, this is all part of the same message, that's a good point. The party of business, I would say something like, we're the party of people.
I mean, the security is a huge factor because, like you say, we should be messaging this and everything. It's not, the GOP are not having enough responsibility for the gun deaths that are actually in this country.
Yeah, we have to brand them as the party of death and mayhem because that's what they do.
Absolutely.
There's no reason to have military guns out there.
Well, they always pass and legislate these anti-right of life bills. They really are the party of death.
Yeah,
they have blood on their hands. Yeah. The GOP absolutely 100% has blood on their hands.
This week in Good Messaging comes from Matt Dowd, and he said, why do folks constantly talk about the Democrats' vulnerability and inability to connect to rural areas and don't bring up the bigger problem for GOP of its inability and huge vulnerability in urban areas?
Yep. And they've created a whole city versus country mentality that they are weaponizing against us.
Exactly.
Democrats need to fight that back.
Absolutely. So that's it for this week's of epoodibus Unum. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. You guys are so sweet. You guys are like my best friends.
And thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming and helping us out this week.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it, Allison. We love having you. If you're interested in seeing how a free democratic government affects your everyday life, head over to governmentisgood.com and click on A Day in Your Life on the left-hand side of your screen.
Is this my left?
No, the other left. The other left.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that one. There's also a lot more to explore there, including ways to take back our democracy from lobbyists and dispelling some of the other right-wing myths. Also, a programming note, we'll be off next week because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but we'll be back the week after. And remember, messaging is only half the battle. Mobilization is the other half.
Yeah, take it to the streets, guys.
Or the arena, we hope.
Yes.
A
get a resistance rally happening.
Resistance rally. Well, exactly. 2020.
The Resistance Thunderdome.
One easy thing we can do before the Resistance rally is call our congressperson. Email is okay, but we all know that calling is more effective. Yeah. And you could just Google Find My Congressperson or click on the link in the episode description. Thank you again, and be sure to follow us on Twitter. We're at epoodibus. That's at EPODIBUS. Please, tell a friend about this. Leave a positive rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. That really does help us get the word out about our small little startup here. We are looking for an intern, so if politics is your thing and you want to help us out and help this grow.
I got a granddaughter. This is Reagan, by the way.
I figured it was Reagan. Go away, weird.
I got a granddaughter. It would be great for you guys.
No, we don't want it. All right, everyone. Thanks again.